Remembering who you were before, the self love revolution that sets you free. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dole, like sweet softness whispered in French, and I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, active, and loving every second of it. Today, I had the profound honor of sitting down with Willeena White, a domestic violence survivor turned warrior for women's liberation, whose mission is shaking the foundations of what we've been taught about love, strength, and escape. Willeena is not just surviving, she's rewriting the narrative for Black women trapped in cycles of violence, reminding them of a truth so powerful it can shatter chains. You existed before him, and that woman, that queen, is still waiting inside you, ready to rise again. Willeena White is making the world a better place by helping women remember who they were before a man came along, before the violence erased their identity, before survival mode became their only language. Her work is a revolution of self love, and today we're diving deep into the insights she shared with me. Insights that could save lives, heal families, and ignite a movement. Let's get into it. There's a myth circulating in our communities, whispered in hushed tones at kitchen tables, echoed in therapy rooms, and internalized by too many of our sisters, that women, especially Black women, are hopelessly stuck in violent relationships and can't break free. This belief is not just wrong, it's dangerous. It's a lie that keeps women chained to violence, silenced by shame, and disconnected from their power. Willeena White told me something that stopped me in my tracks. She said, Vaseline, I want to help other women remember who they were before a man came along. That statement is not just a sentiment, it's a strategy, it's a roadmap out of hell. Because here's the truth: every woman has an inner strength and identity that predates the violence. She's still there, waiting to be reclaimed through self love, which is the real love that sets you free. Violence erases who you were, but remembering her empowers you to leave. Now, let's talk numbers because data doesn't lie, and the crisis facing Black women is staggering. Gun violence in intimate partner situations claimed 2,320 Black women and girls from 2022 to 2023 alone, with rates rising 49% since 2019, often by someone they know. In Nova Scotia, Black women face 42% intimate partner violence rates amid historical mistrust and fear of over policing. These aren't just statistics. There are mothers, our sisters, our friends, our colleagues silently carrying trauma while the world expects them to be strong. The strong Black woman trope is killing us. It's a cape we've been forced to wear, a mask that hides our pain, a script that says we can endure anything. But Willeena's message disrupts that narrative entirely. Softness is not weakness. It's a radical act of self-love. And self-love, my sisters, is the anchor that pulls you out of cycles of control and violence. So what are the three key lessons Willeena wants you, our audience of Black professionals, leaders, and entrepreneurs, to take away today? Let's make them actionable because knowledge without action is just noise. First, reconnect with your pre violent self daily. Journal one memory of your fierce, independent spirit to rebuild that foundation. This isn't about nostalgia, it's about excavation. Dig up the dreams you buried, the laughter you silenced, the ambitions you shelved. Write them down, speak them aloud. Let that woman breathe again. She's been suffocating under the weight of someone else's rage, someone else's insecurity, someone else's need to control. But she's not gone. She's waiting. And every time you write her name, every time you remember her smile, every time you honor the goals she once held, you're pulling her back from the shadows. You're telling her, I see you. I haven't forgotten you. and I'm coming back for you. Second, prioritize self love as your exit strategy. It's not selfish, it's the anchor that pulls you out of cycles of control and violence. Self love is not bubble baths and affirmations, though those are beautiful. Self love is the decision to protect your peace, to say no without guilt, to choose yourself even when the world calls you selfish. Self love is real love, and it's the only love that can set you free. It's waking up and deciding that your life matters more than his comfort. It's recognizing that you deserve safety, joy, and freedom, not as rewards for endurance, but as birthrights. Self love is the quiet revolution that happens when you stop asking for permission to exist fully and start demanding the space to heal completely. Third, seek culturally safe support networks. Black led spaces understand the unique barriers like stigma and mistrust, turning isolation into community power. We need spaces where our trauma is not minimized, where our resilience is not weaponized, say, where our healing is prioritized. These spaces exist and they're waiting for you. They're the kitchen table talks where you can cry without judgment. They're the survivor circles where your story is met with understanding, not disbelief. They're the Black therapists who know that your pain is layered with racism, with generational trauma, with the exhaustion of being both hypervisible and invisible at the same time. These spaces don't ask you to be strong, they ask you to be real. And in that realness, you find your way out. Now, let me share three stories of Black women survivors who've reclaimed their lives, aligned with remembering their true selves before the violence. These stories are not just inspiring, they're proof that escape is possible, that healing is real, and that self love is revolutionary. Meet Keshia Thomas, a Black woman from Detroit who survived years of intimate partner gun violence threats in the early 2020s. As Keisha faced daily terror with firearms present, amplifying her homicide risk 5 times, compounded by community stigma and lack of culturally competent care. Imagine waking up every single day knowing that the person who's supposed to love you could end your life in an instant. Imagine the hypervigilance, the sleepless nights, the constant calculation of survival. That was Keisha's reality. But Keisha joined Black led survivor circles through programs connected to organizations fighting gun violence. And she started journaling her pre violence dreams to rebuild her identity. She wrote about the ambitious girl she used to be, the one who believed she could change the world. She wrote about her laughter, her goals, her unshakable faith, and slowly, page by page, she remembered. She escaped in 2023 and now she advocates, having reduced her PTSD through self love practices. Keisha grew up ambitious in a tight knit family, met her abuser after college, and violence eroded her confidence until the grief from ignored trauma sparked change. From silenced victim to leading workshops, her raw storytelling ignited over 500 women to seek help. She said, I rose like the queen I always was. Keisha pushed local policies for better firearm removal in domestic violence situations, lowering Black women gun deaths regionally. Her story directly shows reclaiming the pre violence self amid Black women gun violence and intimate partner violence, empowering through self love. Keisha didn't just survive, she remembered who she was. And in that remembering is so she found her power. Then there's Amina Jackson, a Black immigrant woman enduring intimate partner violence between 2024 and 2025. Amina faced 42% elevated intimate partner violence risk for Black women, plus immigration fears, language barriers, and strong Black woman dismissal by services. She arrived in a new country with dreams of building a business, of creating a better life for herself and her family. But violence trapped her in silence amid anti Black racism history. She felt invisible, unheard, and utterly alone. But Amina partnered with a Black focused organization that offered navigation support, using kitchen table talks to voice fears and rediscover her pre violence entrepreneurial goals. In those talks, she wasn't judged, she wasn't told to be stronger, she was simply seen. And in being seen, she began to see herself again. She left her abuser safely, started a community business, and healed family ties. She transformed from hidden pain to founder of a survivor support group. Her breakthrough echoed through generations, shattering silence with unapologetic power. Amina boosted trust in Black serving organizations, influencing Canada wide data pushes for race specific intimate partner violence tracking. Her story mirrors barriers to escaping intimate partner violence for Black women, resolved by remembering her core self through culturally responsive care. Amina didn't just escape, she built, she healed, she led, and she did it by remembering the entrepreneur she was before the violence tried to erase her. Finally, meet Tasha Brooks, a Black professional from Ohio who survived escalating domestic violence linked to rising gun deaths, a 123% increase for Black women. Tasha faced firearm threats in her home, mental health fallout like anxiety, ignored as resilient. People looked at her success and assumed she was fine. They saw her promotions, her polished exterior, and they never asked what was happening behind closed doors. But Tasha engaged in therapy through programs informed by research on trauma, and she practiced daily self love rituals, recalling her pre violence leadership role. She remembered the woman who led teams with confidence, who mentored others with grace, who believed in her own brilliance. She divorced her abuser in 2024, got promoted at work, and now mentors youth. Tasha was a thriving entrepreneur before her relationship. Violence normalized amid community violence exposure. From survival to summit speaker, she reclaimed her throne, one bold step turning scars into stardust for others. Tasha advocated for state funding, cutting Black women's suicide risks tied to domestic violence trauma. Her story exemplifies Black women's escape through self reclamation, um, tied to gun violence and domestic violence statistics. Tasha didn't just leave, she rose. She transformed. She became the mentor she once needed. And in doing so, she saved lives. Keisha, Amina, Tasha, three names, three stories, three queens who remembered who they were before. And in that remembering, found the strength to leave, to heal, to lead. So, what happens if more Black women and our communities adopt this, remembering who we were before, embracing self love? Willeena told me families heal, suicide risks drop, like Black youth rates tied to violence exposure. Gun homicides and domestic violence plummet with empowered exits, and we build stronger, stigma free communities. That 49% rise in deaths reverses as women lead with their true power. Imagine a world where Black women are not defined by their trauma, but by their triumph, where softness is celebrated, not punished, where self love is not a luxury, but a birthright. That world is possible, but it starts with you. Here's what I need you to understand: this is not just about leaving a violent relationship. This is about dismantling a system that tells Black women their pain doesn't matter. This is about rejecting the lie that we must endure in silence to be strong. This is about reclaiming our identities, our joy, our peace, and our power. This is about remembering that before the world told us to shrink, to endure, to survive, we were whole, we were brilliant, we were free, and we can be again. So here's my challenge to you. Tonight, look in the mirror, not the quick glance you give yourself before rushing out the door. A real look, a deep look, and say out loud, I remember who I was. Self love starts now. Then take one step, Just one. Call a trusted Black sister. Reach out to a hotline. Write down one dream you buried. Speak one truth you've been hiding. Take one step toward the woman you were before the pain, because she's been waiting for you and she's ready. Willeena White reminded me, and now I'm reminding you, self love is real love. It's the love that doesn't demand you shrink, that doesn't require you to suffer in silence, that doesn't ask you to carry the world on your shoulders. Self love is the love that says, you are enough just as you are, and you deserve peace, joy, and freedom. This is your soft girl era. This is your sacred pause. This is your permission slip to drop the cape, to release the roles that no longer serve you, to redefine strength on your own terms. You are not stuck. You are not broken. You are not too far gone. You are a queen who forgot her crown, and today we're placing it back on your head. So I'm asking you, what will you do with this truth? Will you let it sit in your heart and fade? Or will you let it ignite a revolution in your life? Will you stay silent or will you speak your truth? Will you remain trapped or will you remember who you were and reclaim her? The choice is yours. But know this: she's waiting. The woman you were before the violence, before the pain, before the world told you to be small, she's waiting and she's ready to rise. And now go look in that mirror, remember her, love her, free her, because the world needs her. And so do you.